We would all like to look better, but that's a pretty vague goal, isn't it? We all know what we need to do, but actually doing it is a completely different task. And we all know that it's going to get tough at times, but it's at this tough point in the past where you've actually just given up on the goal. Or maybe you did achieve the goal, but eventually you've resorted back to your old self and your old habits. But why does this happen? And how can we avoid these same situations in the future? Well, it's a good job you've stumbled across this video today, because I'm going to give you 5 things that I believe everyone needs to get into great shape, but also stay in great shape. And that is going to be the thing that sets you apart from 99% of other men. And these are all things that I do or use that have helped me to become a pro natural men's physique athlete in 2025. And these are all things that I do with my clients who have achieved some absolutely life-changing results across the years. Literally life-changing. I've worked with multiple people now that have gone on to change the trajectory of their career based off the work we've done, which is just mental. But anyway, for those that are new here, my name is Rhys Kiffin. I'm a physique transformation coach and natural pro men's physique athlete. I've been coaching and competing now for 7 years. I've been training for 11 years, and I've literally helped hundreds of guys over the years to completely transform their minds and their physiques. So hopefully what we go through today is going to be of value to you on your transformation process. Stay tuned to hear the 5 things that I believe you need to get into better shape than literally 99% of other men on this planet. But this is also how to stay in that level of shape. So make sure you watch till the end. Quickly, before we get stuck in, if you would like access to my free 8-week build program, it is in the first link in the description, so go download that. Embedded into the training program is also 8 coaching videos. So not only do you get a free training program, but you essentially have me coaching you for free for 8 weeks. So at the start of each week, watch the corresponding video and make sure that you're implementing the teachings and learnings that I'm trying to get across to you within these videos. It's literally completely free, so go down below and download that. Okay, let's waste no more time. Let's get stuck in. Here is the first thing that you need to get into better shape than 99% of men on this planet. And you need to have clarity on your goals. Okay, so like we cleared up at the very start, we all want to look better, right? But what does that mean to you? Like, what do you need to improve on your physique to look better in your eyes? What does look better mean to you? Be super clear on what you're trying to achieve here. Do you need to build more muscle? If so, how much muscle? What areas on your physique do you want to prioritize muscle growth on? Do you need to drop some body fat? If so, how much body fat? And what level of body fat percentage do you want to get down to? Do you want outlines of abs, or do you want rock hard, deep cut abs? Or do you actually prefer the slightly thicker, bulkier look? Hopefully just asking you those few questions opens your mind to understand that looking better isn't a goal. You need to be super clear and super specific with the exact things that you want to achieve with your physique. Let's just say you could wave a magic wand and be in your idea of the perfect shape. What does that look like? Explain that in detail. But now let's also come away from the physique a little bit. Is there anything else that you want to improve? What sort of habits or routines do you want to have in place? Do you want to maybe read more? Do you want to get to bed earlier? Do you want to start running and adding in a bit of cardio for general fitness? Do you want to improve your nutrition for a health benefit perspective? You need to get specific and get super clear and transparent with what you want to achieve. So this is what it means to have clarity on your goals. It means to get super clear, super specific, so you can actually understand what you're trying to achieve and you can understand what you need to do to get there. You may also realize that you've probably just thought about some goals that you haven't really thought about before. And that's because I'm asking you the right questions, which I guess could be the other piece to your puzzle, which is having someone else in your corner to get the best out of you and ultimately make you realize what you want to achieve. So thing number 2 that you need to get into better shape than 99% of other men on this planet is to have a phased out journey to get to your goal. Okay, so you have your goal here that you've just set. This is where you currently are. Now, how the fuck do you get from here to here? Because yes, having a goal is great, but if you don't have any sense of direction, it might take you 3, 4, or 5 times as long to get to that goal just because you didn't really know what direction you were supposed to be going in. Now, I live in Cornwall, right? And if I was trying to get to London, but I was trying to get there without a map, just imagine how difficult that would be for me to do. Okay, I didn't have a map, I didn't have a sat nav, I didn't have any sense of direction to get from Cornwall to London. It would take me a goddamn long time. And that's the exact same thing that's going to happen here. If you have only just set your goal and now you just think train and eat and I'm going to get to the goal, that's completely wrong. You need to map out and phase out your journey so you know exactly what you need to do, you know exactly what turns you need to take at what time to get to this goal. Now, if you watched one of my previous videos on how to maximize muscle growth across a 2-year plan, you would have seen me go through a 2-year plan. And that's basically what you need to go through here. Maybe it doesn't have to be 2 years, but you still have to put a plan in place to get from where you are now to where you're trying to get to. And look, the timeframes you want to work within are totally down to the level of intensity that you're ready to hit the protocols at. If you're going to go all in with no distractions, you might get there faster. But if you want a nice balance of results, but also a level of sustainability, it might take you a little bit longer. And of course, if you're going to be living your best life, going out drinking and partying every weekend, then it's probably going to take you a fair bit longer than it would those first two options. But that is completely fine. This is your process. These are your goals. This is your transformation. So it is completely your call. But my opinion is to go all in as early as possible. Because look, at the end of the day, when you've just set a new goal, you're motivated to hit the process, you might as well try and make as much progress as physically possible within the initial period, right? But yeah, from here, I would suggest to work backwards from your goal. So you've obviously set this goal, and then you just need to work back in regards to timeframes to then back to the point where you are now. Let's just say, for example, like some of my clients, you have a photo shoot planned for August next year. So we need to work back from then. So let's say your goal for next August is to be 7 to 8% body fat with an extra 1.5 to 2 kilograms of muscle. Now we know that we need to probably carve out a 12 to 16 week time frame to get you lean for the photo shoot. Prior to that 12 to 16 week fat loss phase, we need to do a 2 to 3 week maintenance phase after the bulk. And of course, prior to the maintenance phase, we're going to have to go into a bulk phase to put on that 1.5 to 2 kilos of muscle. But also then prior to that bulk phase, we know that we have to do a bit of a tidy up phase before that to get the body in the most responsive phase for the growth. So what I would do there is give yourself an aggressive 6 to 8 week fat loss phase initially, followed by as long of a bulk period as humanly possible, which then is going to lead you into the 2 to 3 week maintenance and then the 12 to 16 week prep for the photo shoot. And then obviously you need to delve another step deeper, which is what is the goal of each phase? In the 6 to 8 week fat loss phase, how much body fat are you aiming to lose? How much weight are you aiming to lose? In the build phase, how much weight are you going to gain? How much muscle are you aiming to gain, etc. You need to set intentions for each phase so you have clear, actionable goals that you're trying to hit within each phase. Okay, so all of this looks great. The goal is set, the plan is in place, and you do really know what you need to do now. But again, doing it is a whole nother challenge, which takes us on to thing number 3 that you need to get into better shape than 99% of men on this planet, which is of course a layer of accountability to keep you on track. Okay, so Google's AI has said, accountability is the obligation to accept responsibility for one's actions and decisions, justify them to others, and take ownership of the consequences. It means being required to explain your choices to someone with greater authority and facing the outcomes, whether positive or negative. Synonyms include responsibility, liability, and answerability. Now, this thing or step essentially requires you to hire someone to hold you accountable, because here's the reality. When we're motivated, we feel like we can do literally anything we set our minds to. But when we're not motivated, it feels like we could literally throw our goals out of the window and not even be fazed by giving up. And this just goes to show why we cannot rely on emotions, such as motivation, to carry us towards a goal, because it's just an unreliable source of motivation. It's just an unreliable fuel source. I've had this experience recently with a client who was very, very close to giving up. He had great success on his diet phase. He's been in a build phase now for a period of months. He's like 4 or 5 kilos up. He's looking insane. He's looking great. But for some reason, things just started to not click. He was dropping in motivation. His energy was getting a bit lower. And essentially, he just wanted to give up because his motivation was low. And he wanted to give up despite already achieving great results, and he was still achieving great results. He just wasn't as motivated. So he just wanted to stop. So my job for the following 3 weeks was literally just to keep him in the game, keep him focused on the long term, and get him thinking about the person that he wants to be in the next 6 to 12 months. I said to him, how do you want to look in 6 to 12 months? How do you want to feel? What sort of habits or routines do you want to have in place? And what type of person do you want to be when motivation dwindles away? And just think, what would happen if you did give up versus what happens when you don't give up? Thinking you can do it all yourself is great, and you can probably get so far doing that, but there's going to become a point where it does get challenging, it does get tough, and just having someone else there in your corner to push you, support you, motivate you, guide you is going to be game changing for you. Because look, having that accountability partner or coach in your corner isn't just about getting the results, but it's actually speeding up the level of results. It's about having a new level of knowledge and expertise in your corner. And when you do have a team in your corner and a coach that knows what the hell they're on about and they're great at what they do, it is just so much better and so much more effective to have that person there pushing you and guiding you. So yeah, quite literally, if you want to separate yourself from the 99% of men, you need to hire a coach and you need to have someone that's going to hold you to a higher standard. Okay, so thing number 4 that you need to get into better shape than 99% of other men on this planet is, of course, resilience and discipline. Whether you have a coach or not, you need resilience and discipline. A lot of the time, I get some really nice messages from my clients, essentially thanking me for helping them on their journey. But I always remind them of this. I remind them that you have done the work. All I've done is given you the tools. Because in reality, it's not my job to do the work and get the results for you. You still have to prep the meals, get to the gym, do the cardio sessions that you don't want to do, hit your steps, track your nutrition, etc. And all my job is to give you the tools and everything you need to get to the goal and to make the process as quick and as easy as possible. I do really believe that resilience and discipline are skills that are built over time. If you're pretty new to training and dieting, I can understand the difficulties that you might start to face. Like, I know how hard it can be to turn away that shit food sometimes that your family or friends are offering you. I've been there a million times. I understand it. I know it's hard, but with years of bodybuilding under my belt, I have built the resilience and the discipline muscle where it is actually really, really easy to just say, no, thank you. But it's taken me years and years to build these mental frameworks where I can just fend off, these challenges and distractions quite easily now. And these are also mental frameworks that I share with my clients, which again, I guess is why it's a game changer to have a coach in your corner that has experience and knows what they're on about, because they can provide you with these frameworks. So yeah, keep working on your resilience, keep building your discipline. And these are two skills that are going to massively help you separate yourself from that 99%. And finally, thing number 5 that you need to get into better shape and stay into better shape than 99% of men on this planet is the ability to move the goalpost. And this simply means what it says on the tin. You've just achieved this goal. What now? The worst thing that you can do after achieving a goal is to sit on the fence and wait for fucking Christmas to come. Because during this waiting period after achieving a goal, it's quite normal to slowly resort to normal life a little bit again. But this can then also cause you to slowly fall back into old habits. Maybe you're going out for food a little bit more frequently, you're slipping in a couple extra alcoholic drinks throughout the week, maybe your training and nutrition intensity starts to take a bit of a step back. And look, these things are fine to do, but if you don't have any sort of plan or goal in place, it's not going to be long before you have fully resorted back to your old self and essentially undone all of that hard work that you just put in. Which, yeah, I guess kind of defeats the whole object of doing the work in the first place. So once you've achieved the goal, you need the tenacity to move the goalpost and aim for something new. And that can be as simple as just progressing into a maintenance phase and trying to maintain your body weight and your body composition whilst increasing your calories. Because that's a great goal to have. That's a really healthy thing to do after a dieting phase, for example. And it also buys you a little bit of time where you can actually think about the next step that you want to go on after the maintenance phase. Because again, the last thing you want to do after you've just worked so hard and dieted down is just resort back to normal life, because you will just put body fat back on and you will start to become a little bit more unhappy again with how you look. So moving the goalpost doesn't mean you have to be super intense with your process and your protocols again. It just means aim for something new and make sure that you're on a trajectory that you're going to be happy with. And then just ask yourself the question, do I want to go into a long off season or bulk phase? Do I want to try and go through a lean bulk and maintain abs while I build more muscle? Do I really want to test myself and see how lean I can get and keep pushing further with this fat loss phase? There's a handful of routes you can take after achieving a goal, and if you're a client of mine, I'm going to be pointing you in the right direction, but ultimately it's your physique, it's your body, it's your process, so you've got to think about where you want to go and where you want to be in the next 6 to 12 months, aesthetically, physically, mentally, from a health perspective. How do you want to look, how do you want to feel in 6 to 12 months time? And you base what you do now off of where you want to be then. And those are the 5 things I believe you need in place if you want to look better than 99% of other men on this planet. And just to recap, that is to get super clear on your goals, have a phased out journey to get to your goal, add a layer of accountability to keep you on track, build your resilience and your discipline, and have the ability to move the goalpost once you've achieved your initial goal. It's nice and simple, not overly complex, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's easy to do. So think hard about what you want to achieve and just be honest with yourself regarding whether you need some in-depth coaching and guidance to get to your goal. The best athletes and bodybuilders on this planet all have coaches. So why do you think you don't need one? In reality, if you truly want the best results, I believe everyone needs a coach. And look, if you like my style, like my approach, feel free to head to my coaching application in the description and fill that form in. No matter who you are, if you fill in the form, I'll be in touch. But if you're the right fit for the program, I'll offer to hop on a one-to-one call with you and we can talk about your goals in more detail and essentially build a plan from that point onwards. But look, no worries if not. Keep checking out my content for value when it comes to getting in the shape of your life naturally. That's what I'm here to help you achieve. So check out my other content below. Drop me a subscribe, drop a like, and of course, drop a comment if you found this video useful. Peace.